Yeah. All right.
Works for me.
Welcome back to Mike on a Platter. What's up, guys? How you doing? I got Paul Romanowski with us tonight. Unfortunately, Jorge couldn't make it. He had a little situation. He had a numb face, tingly numb face, and a pain behind his right eye. And we don't know what the hell was going on with him, but I hope he's okay.
Yeah.
Paul, welcome back.
Thanks, bro. Yeah, let's hope that that's not as serious as it sounds like it could be. It's terrifying to think about something like that. So
yeah.
let's hope he's all right.
Okay, let me adjust these outputs a little bit so you can hear okay. You hear all right? Everything sounds
Yeah,
okay? Yeah, there you go. All right. Hey. All right. Okay, here we are. So tonight we've got some goodies. We're gonna do a little slam down, smack down on an issue that is in a lot of fishermen's and spear fishermen's and any ocean loving harvesting person's mind, and that is what's going on in the oceans right now. The absolute desecration of our biomasses by the Chinese.
Yeah, they do a number, and they have for a long time, but they've really accelerated it in the last couple of years. Kind of the numbers that put forth from what they're doing, what their extractions are, is pretty astounding. Given that they've got the biggest fishing fleet in the world by far, and that's the biggest fishing fleet that is verified. And then the problem is what's unverified about their fishing fleet is about 8 to 10 times, five to 10 times bigger, because nobody really knows what the numbers are.
So we're going to jump into that tonight. We're going to talk about that, and Paul's also going to talk about the lobster fisheries and the local fisheries, because that's always fun stuff for a lot of you local guys who tune in and want to know what's kind of going on. But before we start, we have to do one very important thing here. Get your beer, Pablo.
Uh-oh.
He already cracked his, so I'll do it. 3, 2, 1, pretend. Hold on.
What the? Okay.
You always got to get that in there,
there
that
you
cracking.
Yes.
Cheers, man.
Cheers, buddy.
Great to have you back on again, Paul, as always, and everybody who's listening tonight.
We're going to make some trouble tonight.
That's right. We're going to make some serious fucking trouble. What you got there? Good old Corona? Show them what you got.
Yeah. Yeah, heavyweights.
Keeping it simple.
Yep.
Oh, yeah, baby. So, I wanted to jump into this by pulling up a couple articles. Now, you guys can go on just about any social platform, and read about this. You can go to YouTube and look up all kinds of videos, and we kind of screenshotted some of them so you could see it. You can go online and search it. I mean, there are so many articles and so many videos about this problem. It's overwhelming, and it really illustrates how much of a problem it really is. So I just want to pull something up real quick. This website right here, hang on, let me open this up real quick. So here's just an example from ChinaAfricaProject.com. Okay. China's distant fishing fleet is decimating what's left of Ghana's fish stocks, for example. So they go to other countries. They're going all over internationally.
It's page 3 of my stuff.
And just raping and pillaging. Well, I won't get deep into that one. But this one, basically the statement, overfishing by illegally run foreign trawlers is decimating what's left of Ghana's fish stocks. In fact, the situation is so severe that experts believe as early as next year, entire categories of fish that once sustained the local Ghanaian government market will be gone.
Yeah, page 2 actually of my stuff.
Okay, well.
Page 2. So, but yeah, that's a good find. So I got I took my notes very simply off of an all-encompassing report that was done by ABC News. And I looked through it. I bounced through a bunch of different stuff last night. And really, theirs was all-encompassing. I think they just went and they just, amalgamated a lot of other people's information.
Here, I'll pull this up. Is this the one? China's dark fishing fleets are plundering the world's oceans?
That's probably the one. Yeah, I think that's it. So
okay, well, I won't steal your thunder. I'll just give the basics. I just want to show how many sites are out there. China's fishing fleet is the largest fishing fleet in the world, easily outnumbering many countries' navies. Okay, and I'll pull up. Let me pull up another one. Hold on a second here. This is on Yale. 360 Yale. All right. I grabbed that picture and made our little clickbait with it.
There you go.
How China's expanding fishing fleet is depleting the world's oceans. After exhausting areas close to home, China's vast fishing fleet has moved into waters of other nations and depleting fish stocks. More than seafood is at stake as China looks to assert itself out on the seas and further its geopolitical ambitions from East Asia to Latin America.
Yeah, that touches on the other side of it, which is actually let's just call it a global security kind of an issue. Now, if you've ever heard me rant about fishery stuff in California, really a lot of what the DFG/DFW does, you see what they're closing, how they twist and turn things, and they make it harder for fishermen on every single front. It all boils down to resource allocation and control of resource. Just like, hey, we're going to cut water to farmers so that people in Los Angeles can have their lawns, so that golf courses can still have their green grass. But we're going to cut down the stuff on trees. Well, eventually bending the knee and the hand and the back of the farmer, forcing them into using less water, but basically making them beg for water, and then controlling what the farmers are going to grow. Although we got problems with almonds. Funny, right? Because almonds take so much water and all that. Now, an almond has the same nutrition in one little almond as a whole peach does. And if you ever look at an almond and a peach, they look about the same, just one's a lot smaller. It's very funny, but all that's compacted into an almond. So you go, well, that's kind of interesting. They kind of take almost the same amount of water, but almond yield, it seems like, is so much smaller. But dynamite comes in small packages, right? It's
right.
like, so where does the almonds go? Who's the biggest consumer of our almonds?
Tell me, buddy. Tell me.
Starts with C and ends in Heine. Yeah, right. So now our lobster, right? Another thing that I'm kind of passionate about. I don't know. I got a thing on lobsters. Where does 85% of our lobster that we catch in California and 95% of the quote-unquote California lobsters caught in Mexico, where do they go?
Let me guess. The C word.
Yeah. No. We're not Australian. You can't call them that. China.
Huh?
Yes.
What'd you say, you cunt?
That's right. Exactly. So, wasn't me, guys. Wasn't me, Mom. So, yeah. So, China's, their vast population means that they need this stuff. And it's very interesting how it works. And the problem is they wind up being able to assert a lot of leverage on people. And that's on all fronts. Now, obviously trade, look at the harbor out here. I think the problem is kind of, that's our harbor guys, but that's also a problem because we get too much from China. But China is really interesting. So Beijing says that they're running a fleet of about 2,500 fishing vessels worldwide. Now, when you say that and you look at how many boats we have in California, we're talking about vessels that are capable of going international, trans-ocean sailors. So you're talking about boats that can, at the very least, leave their territorial waters and go to open sea. And that means out of your 200-mile EEZ zone. It means going out to other nations and stuff. And so Beijing is saying that they've got 2,500. Worldwide estimates are hovering around 17,000 because China simply doesn't acknowledge so much of what they have.
Wait, did you say 17,000?
1,000.
And,
okay.
and like our fleets around here, most of our fleets are smaller to medium size, right?
Sure, and we've got this is where people would say, "Oh, it's really not that big a deal." No, that's not true because yes, in the U.S. there are thousands of fishing boats. If you add up all the lobster fishermen up and down the coast, there's 100 different boats, 150 boats about fishing lobster in California alone. Okay, the East Coast, you've got a couple of hundred boats fishing lobster. You've got several hundred boats fishing tuna locally. You've got boats fishing all kinds of different stuff, halibut, all these inshores. We've got thousands of boats. These are small boats, though. They go home basically every night or within like 3 days.
3 to 5 days, right?
Right, and they're not exceeding, basically, they're not exceeding the EEZ. They're not going out at 200 miles.
And they're also following strict regulation.
Oh, yeah. They're clamped down pretty hard. Now, here's a crazy thing. For all of our tuna fleets and all of our worldwide long-range fishing vessels that do this, the United States has 300 documented. 300, guys. And so even if China had 2,500, that's an astoundingly high number compared to ours. But if you think about what the actual numbers are, they're huge. Now,
okay, so they're reporting that there's 8 times as many long-range international boats reporting. And we're saying that it's even 8 times that 8. So
Correct.
It's 64 times that.
Correct.
Holy moly.
Mm-hmm. Now, the problem is also that their extractive nature is not like they're just targeting what you call wet fish. Okay, so wet fish is small fish and squids. Anchovy, squid, sardine, things like that, mackerels. Those are wet fish. You've got that fleet. Then you've got your tuna fishing fleet. And really, of our boats that go expanded in long range, they're almost exclusively swordfish, tuna. It's basically big fish.
Yeah, it's big
fish. It's big fish stuff. And so, but China, you know, they're going global, and they're coming back with harvested jellyfish, sharks, seafood, like, you know,
squid's a big thing with them right now.
Yeah.
They're chasing squid all over the place.
Right, benthic species. You're talking about, like, you know, shellfish of every assorted shape and size. Now, I've dealt with them personally when I worked on commercial fishing boats. You know, we fished tuna, and we went down and we fished Tahiti. And this is a long time ago. It's before my son was born. So you're talking 32 years ago now, right?
You're such an old fart.
This is when dolphins safe. I was so young. This was ridiculous. They even let me on the boat. I was like, I didn't even shave but like twice a week or once a week. It was incredible. And so we got all the way down to Tahiti, and you go in, and Tahiti's a very small place, and you got these little principalities. You go in and you get your permits to go fish their waters, and you're allowed to take X amount of tonnage.
There we go. All right.
So you go in, you catch it, and you have to go back in and document your catch and bring it in. Well, there's a big series of boats outside in the open global waters outside of Tahiti.
Okay.
And so what happens is all these boats come in here and they fish. They pay their money. They get their permit. They fish inside Tahitian waters. Now, these guys are fishing in Tahitian waters, and they drive outside into open water, and these giant Chinese and Taiwanese, and the processor ships that we were seeing were Taiwanese. And the Chinese ships were taking it home, but they weren't processors. Like giant floating freezers.
Yeah.
Like 550.
Yeah, they process at sea, and everything shows up packaged and ready to go.
Well, that was the Taiwanese ship was literally a cannery. It was a floating cannery.
Sure,
it was insane. And they processed and they did the whole thing down to fish meal, down to drying it out, cooking it, baking it, the whole rigmarole. It was insane. But so what the boats do is they go in and they fish. They go out to the big ships. They unload to the processor ship. They come back in. They fish it. They do this several times. And then every couple of days, they go into port and they report, you know, hey, man, I got 20 tons. I got 50 tons. Right? They got a 1,000-ton permit or whatever. These guys are fleecing 1,000 tons before they ever even report, you know, 200 tons on the boat. So the amount of fish that we were watching them take was stunning because they're going inside inner waters and fishing this stuff. And it's like literally where they're fishing, there's little Tahitian fishing boats. I mean, like overgrown, like back then, like overgrown 35-foot canoes, 45-foot canoes with like 4 guys working on it and a big outboard. And they actually have a mast for a sail in case anything goes wrong. They sail back.
Yeah, and these guys are floor trawling too, right? They're completely
every type of fishing, but in this case, this was tuna. But yeah, no. Then they were that was one of the things that they do is they have these big processor ships, and they're also refuelers. So they send boats out that really can't make the run. They send out like 65 footers but it got some pretty good range on them. Diesel's going slow. You get a lot of range out of that boat. They send these things out. They're rickety, but they got fueler ships out there. So they're expanding these guys' range global. They're not going into Ecuador to get fuel, bro. They fuel at sea from a giant fuel tanker that's out there. So then they go in and they're trawling. They're putting in thousands, like globally, they're putting in thousands of divers. I mean, in a given area, they're putting in, you know, dozens and dozens of hookah divers off of small boats, and they'll wipe everything. I mean, you think you're pretty good. I think I'm a pretty good lobster diver. I've had some big catches and stuff, especially like when we're doing survey stuff and there's no limits. I've pulled some pretty big numbers of bugs in a day, you know?
Yep.
And these guys go through there and they're like human vacuum cleaners on the bottom of the ocean. They just absolutely slam everything.
Here's another little article here. Let me pull up this one. You know, it's not only in the South Pacific in those areas, but this is this is another article. Okay. Hundreds of Chinese ships continue to plunder South America's fish stocks. After crossing the Pacific, China's fishing armada is now off the coast of Argentina. The Argentinian government is playing down the issue, saying that it is a negotiation with China while refusing U.S. help. Environmental groups call for international regulation. And I'll tell you what, I've heard the stories. I mean, I hear the stories. I like off of Mexico. You know, the Mexican government. We all know how uncorrupt they are.
Yeah.
So
it's easy to buy your way in. With
the Chinese pay
places.
with cash. They just pay cash and they say, hey, you know what? We're fishing your waters, and that's all there is to it. And the cartels won't even let the locals fish out there so that the Chinese can get out there. They get out there and they freaking pillage.
Well, I remember
the whole coast.
I remember in the in the late 80s into the early, well, it was the early 90s actually, and the Japanese got a fishing permit to come in and experimentally fish squid in the Sea of Cortez. They literally jacked so many squid out of the Sea of Cortez in a matter of a couple of months. It altered the squid fishery in the Sea of Cortez for a long time. And a lot of people say it really never recovered, which the fishery dynamic changed. But I mean, the squid thing was insane in the Sea of Cortez. And they literally damn near sank the boats. They filled them. Now, the other thing that Japanese did when they were in there before they got kicked out, because the government realized how bad it was when people finally started screaming, you couldn't find a scallop around Bahia de Los Angeles, around Bola. You couldn't find a scallop, bro. They wiped them every single rock clean, like every single rock. And it's like,
okay, so you mentioned something interesting here. So they don't just go in there with the nets and the lines and all this. They actually deploy little boats with divers that go into the shallows and all day long. I mean,
that was the Japanese when they did it, and they've been kicked out. The Japanese have never had favor again with Mexico. They soiled things so badly at the time that they have never been allowed back in, but they did real damage. You know, they did real damage. And thankfully scallops can recover, you know, in a couple of seasons or whatever, but it was pretty disheartening. But yeah, the Chinese are doing the same thing, bro. I mean, and when you talk about like remote bays, you go down there and there's not like a sand scallop left to be found. There's no pismo clams left to be found. It's pretty insane. Now, Mexico on the Baja Peninsula, their ejidos, they don't put up with it, man. They're fisheries guys. They're very tough. They're very tough. And they will literally fight you tooth and nail. Now, this brings down one of the other problems. China is using about 38% of all global fish production. They're performing it. 38% of the entire world's fish production. That's China.
With one country.
One country.
China.
38% of the world, right? But the thing is, they're not selling and feeding to the world, man. The vast majority of what they bring in is staying internal. Okay? So that part's pretty crazy. I mean, if you're getting fish and stuff caught by Chinese and processed in China, you know, it's probably going back to Asian markets back in the United States. Sure. It's not going to, you know, H-Salt Fish and Chips is not getting fish from China. It's not like that, you know. They're getting their stuff processed by our guys here, by Canadians, and Europeans
Nova Scotia,
and stuff.
Europe.
So the problem is, okay, China, 15.2 million tons of marine life annually. That's 20% of the world's total catch.
if you
That's
just
of
think about that
everything.
number,
It's of everything that comes out of the ocean. 20% of
Oh.
everything that comes out of the ocean is being extracted by them.
well, you know what? You brought up something there about the aggressiveness and the violence, and it is getting violent out there.
Oh, yeah.
A lot of countries are starting to fight back, and as a matter of fact, I got some pretty cool videos to show you that shows. I got a handful. I'll go ahead and show one of them, but you know, a lot of countries are getting pissed off, and they're going after the Chinese. Check this out.
That's small rifle fire there. But that's actually good target practice. You know what the hell?
Yeah, I pulled this off of this website. Stop your engines, he's telling them. Slow down. You know, they kept warning them, hey, get the hell out of here.
Yeah.
We're prepared to fire. Yeah. They keep paging them, keep hailing them, say, hey, come on, guys, stop. And then, you know, finally they'll go run off or whatever. But, you know, countries are getting pissed off.
Well, yeah, it does insane damage to somebody else's fishery, and the problem is that there's no regulation, and I really get pissed off at people in the United States. People start screaming about how we're raping the oceans. It's like, bro, you obviously have never gone out there.
No, they have no idea.
And gone
what's
for a
going
swim.
on
It's
out
like
there.
jump in the waters off of California and tell me how depleted it is. It's
No,
like,
no.
Spare me
No.
your cries. You know.
Yeah, I still love telling that story that Rene Rojas told about when they had the International Spearfishing Association competition in Peru, and they had a 5-mile stretch of awesome reef structure for some of the world's best divers to all meet, and the biggest fish that came out of there was about this long. How pathetic is that, dude?
Yeah.
Because of the lack of regulation.
Yeah, and so you know the thing about China is what we're talking about. You know, the insidious side of this is that they're putting their boats in to basically claim a presence, and it's like asking for an easement because you know your neighbor builds a new fence or whatever. It's like, yeah, but we both share the driveway, so you can't block me out. I have to get through. So China's basically doing this and putting their footprint in a lot of places. They put those fake little islands up that they've put out there.
Yeah.
So now all of a sudden they're fishing around these little islands that they've made, and they go, no, this is our island, and we fish these waters, so stay out. And the thing is when you do that, and you're checking up on New Caledonia, and all 17,000 people that live in all of New Caledonia or whatever it is, a real low number, right? And it's China, and it's like, are you going to go out there and mess with China? The answer is, do you want to be China's next, you know, snack?
Yeah.
Because you'll last about 7 minutes when the Chinese show up in force.
Well, yeah, but out there as they're trying to go after all the locals, you know, it's actually they're starting to sink ships. Check this video out.
Yeah.
Capsized and sinking. This was once an illegal fishing vessel shot down by Argentina's Coast Guard to stop unlawful activity. After a high seas chase in March, Argentina issued warning shots, but the Chinese crew didn't take heed. The Coast Guard said the offending ship even continued to maneuver in an attempt to cause a collision before they decided to shoot. But as the ship began to capsize, the Coast Guard stepped in, throwing lifebuoys to the stranded Chinese crew and hauling them to safety. The dramatic images of the rescue effort were released by Argentina's Navy as a warning against illegal fishing activity in the area. Coast Guard boats using radar picked up the trawler fishing in a zone known for squid. According to the not-for-profit group Stop Illegal Fishing, China has the world's largest distant water fishing fleet with more than 2,000 vessels. And now
Reported.
one less after this dramatic encounter.
One less, right?
Right.
Yeah. Well, I mean, this is the thing is China's actually produced a massive number of these vessels in the last 10 years. They've jacked their fleet numbers to like unheard of, unbelievable numbers. And the thing is, you can start to sink them. They'll just send more like a plague. It's like, what was that, Independence Day, right?
Yeah, right.
And you just see like the
roaches,
armies lined up
the
on the spaceship. It's like,
the
oh,
insects.
that's coming, right?
Yeah, right.
And so that's what they're doing. And the thing is So there's two sides to it. You know, some of these fishing vessels, they're fishing vessels. I mean, they're fishing, but they're spy vessels too. They're out there sizing up other people's harbors, their defenses. They're out there learning.
Okay, so it's almost like the coach who goes and scouts the other teams. Playing and their game and what are their moves and their plays.
They're in there absolutely looking, and these are putting out feelers so they can see how much force have you really got, and what kind of resolve have you got to come and deal with them. So they send in a boat or two. You're going to deal with them, and they go, okay, well, you know what? We got away with it. This is what they got. They got some helicopters. They got some planes. They don't have a lot of ships on this side, and they got nothing with heavy armor.
Dude, so they're just sizing it up, dude. This is like beyond the ultimate scandal, dude.
Well, sure, because the next round is if you've got a Navy that can't defend themselves worth a lick, then a Chinese warship shows up, and if you mess with the Chinese fishing fleet, you go to the bottom.
Well, the nice thing is there's some people that they've tried to mess with that were actually prepared for them. You want to see? This is a really good video. I think this is the one. Hang on. All right. All right. See you later, buddy.
Yeah, but that's one. They need to sink thousands, dude. I mean, thousands for what they're doing. So,
well, this may be onesie-twosie stuff, but check out this video. All right.
The boats, 15 from Vietnam and 30 from China, were blown up simultaneously at 7 ports from Tarakan and northern Kalimantan to Ranai on the Natuna Islands in the South China Sea. Minister of Maritime Affairs and Fisheries Edi Prabowo witnessed a destruction, which was coordinated by the Navy, Coast Guard and police, via live-streamed internet video at her office in downtown Jakarta. The sinking of the boats is to enforce the law and to protect the sovereignty of our territory, to ensure that the sea is the future of our nation, Ms. Prabowo was quoted as saying by Compass. Indonesia, the world's largest archipelago nation, has taken a tough stance against illegal fishing since President Joko Widodo took office in 2014 with his administration, blowing up dozens of foreign vessels as part of a campaign to protect Indonesia's maritime resources and domestic fishing industry, which loses billions of dollars in revenues to illegal fishing each year.
Right.
Well, there you go.
Yeah.
So it's serious out there,
Sure.
and it's good to see that governments are starting to really take it seriously and take action.
But like I said, you know, the problem is that so few will do that and will push back because China's literally, like, that's when you talk about Indonesia, South China Sea. That's why they're putting those islands out there, and they're putting warships out. They're not at all shy about being willing to flex on everybody, you know, and it's downright dangerous, and it will be. I'm good for now, and so China started to fish in North Korea over the last few years, which is that's a global sanction. Nobody else is supposed to be fishing that water.
Yeah, and I've read stories about starved North Korean fishermen
and
dead
empty
showing
boats and
up
stuff,
and
right?
empty boats.
And so
just
what's
the
happening,
violence of
right?
it
So
is
what's
crazy.
happening is the North Korean boats are in really lousy shape. You're talking about like Cuban cruise ships, right? I mean, it's like, you know, they're third world status stuff because of sanctions and stuff, you know. So these guys are going out on haphazard boats, and they're being pushed farther and farther out because the Chinese literally push them around and they line up and they just take the spots. So the North Korean boats are winding up so far offshore, they break down, they run out of fuel, whatever it is, and they're set adrift. I mean, that's how you find some guys that are starved, guys are dead, they're gone off the boat, they jump off, they figure they got nothing left to lose, but try and swim home. Fat chance on that one. But so, you know, that's what happens. And of course, China's paying Kim Jong-un. They're paying him, so he lets it happen. I mean,
Yeah, there's
Korea,
another government that's just paid off, and it's like, okay.
right, North
all right,
Korea
go
could
for it.
quote unquote fight back. They could fight back. They could put them down. They could stall some of that out. But dude, China's their bread and butter. Without them, they're dead anyways. So,
Right.
and North Korea cannot get enough fish to bring themselves up, quote unquote, globally. You know what I mean? So the problem is, like, when the Chinese are fishing North Korean waters, they're fishing for ethnic fish. They're fishing for small fish that are culturally important to them. Shellfish, all this other stuff, kelp, seaweeds. I mean, they're stripping the place, and so they're helping to starve the Korean people, which really sucks for the North Koreans.
Yeah. Well, hey, let me ask you a question. What about around here? Now, we mentioned Mexico. We mentioned what the Japanese have done in there, and then what the Chinese are now continuing to take over and do what the Japanese used to do.
Well, the Mexicans, very, very little of Chinese fleets coming into Mexican waters. Mexicans actually have gotten really, really strong about it. And then...
Okay, so that tide is turning now?
Well, yeah. I mean, after the Japanese fleet came through, the Chinese will fish the outer water stuff. They'll go raid the Revillas. They'll raid Clarion or Clipperton Island or something like that.
Okay, are they? Is that activity actually affecting us locally? Like what we see locally that they come up?
No, because they're fishing. When they're out there, they're fishing skipjack and yellowfin in distant waters down there at Clarion and Clipperton and that stuff. And those big yellowfins don't ever make it up here anyways and stuff. So they're going and they're raiding the biospheres, but they're not getting really anywhere near the Mexican Baja coastline or the Mexican mainland coastline.
Okay, and I had to ask that question because there was a few guys that asked.
But what they do is they'll dominate the buying of local reef fish, snapper and such like that, right? From all of the Mexican fisheries and the Ejidos, they're selling a lot direct to Chinese buyers. So the Chinese ships are going in and buying it. They might not be strip mining the place, but they're paying the Mexican to do it for them.
Got it.
And now, is there bending of the rules in that? That's Mexico. The answer is yes.
No. What?
What?
No.
Sure.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's absolutely, that's a given, So, China says that they enacted a partial moratorium on Central and South American squid fishing. Partial moratorium being, hey guys, don't do that. Just make sure you bring us squid. So that's about how that goes. They say in 5 years, they'll severely crack down on IIU fisheries, which is illegal, unreported, and unregulated fisheries. Not really. So, the secondary factor, which is really, you look at geopolitical stability, there's a lot of small nations out there and a lot of medium-sized nations. And so if you get somebody like a Vietnam, now Vietnam is coming up because of all the industry and production that's being moved from China.
Yeah.
Because people are tired of China and moving it down to Vietnam. So Vietnam's got more and more and more clout, which is really nice to see because you need other strong players in that region, and but there are a bunch of small nations out there that can't defend themselves against China, and China is literally using their fishing fleet to size them up. And the thing is that sooner or later somebody's going to really get mad and whack some Chinese boats, and they're going to kill a bunch of sailors because they're not going to wait for the guys to get off like that one video.
Yeah, we're being
and they're gonna dust some guys, and then what's going to happen is China's going to hit them like a ton of bricks. And the problem is it's a great clock, right? The clock is running. It's like, how much time does China have with other governments being weak or unwilling to face off, right? Like Australia is now realizing that China owns their ports, and they're like going, oh shit, we really, really blew this. Like, China owns the biggest port in Australia. China owns it. It's like they own 3 of the biggest 5 ports.
Yeah, they own a good portion of Vancouver too.
Yeah, and so that's a big thing for these guys. Is like, China's using a lot of this as leverage, and they've bought in on the other side. So now, do you think Canada's really going to go hard after Chinese fishing vessel when China owns the shipping port?
Yeah, right.
We shut the doors today. Nothing comes into Canada. You guys are going to be ass out like Los Angeles. Good luck.
Yeah, exactly.
Some serious games can get played, some serious brinkmanship, and then what's Canada going to do? They're going to go in there and throw snowballs at them until they leave? I mean, they can fight, but do they have the stomach to? With Trudeau as president, prime minister? Do you really think they got the stomach to fight?
He's too pretty.
He's a fucking ski instructor. He's a ski instructor, bro.
Hey, no offense at Canada. No offense. Hey.
I love my snow Mexicans, but all the same, weak sauce.
That's funny.
But I mean, and then globally, look at us. Look at you know, we got the diaper shitter in charge, and
The diaper shitter.
You
I
know,
love it.
so do we really think that after his son's made $1 billion dealing with the Chinese that he's going to put his foot down hard? He talks it, but do we really think that when it comes push comes to shove? Would you want to be Taiwanese right now? You saw how fast Hong Kong got rolled and nobody did anything,
Yeah, no, seriously.
right?
Seriously.
Would you want to be Taiwanese right now, bro? Looking at that and thinking that the U.S. has a non-aggression pact, do you think that Joe Biden is going to stand up for that non-aggression pact?
No, of course not. No. It's
I wouldn't.
business as usual, buddy.
So the thing is, this is the scary thing, is globally, there's a lot of nations that are really wondering how to handle that stuff. And they're starting to flex, and they're flexing real hard. And it's going to take a lot of people pushing back very hard.
Well, hey, speaking of nations, how's our nation doing? I think a lot of guys asked about the lobster fisheries. How's our local lobster fishery doing? The reason why I asked that is because I went and took some video, and maybe I should show that, of what the local fisheries, the lobster fishing looks like on any given weekend, and hoop nets everywhere.
Hoop net numbers are actually down.
Really?
Down.
Okay.
So it's like next thing you know, somebody's going to tell you there's more lobster traps than ever.
I'm just telling you what I saw, but
I'm telling.
I want to know. I want to know what are the numbers? I know you sit on the. Are you still sitting on that board?
It's all basically disbanded because it's done.
Okay.
So the Lobster Advisory Committee is done. So I mean that our work is quote unquote done. But still, looking at the data and stuff, what's available, the lobster catch is still numbers wise is stable. There was some changes into what happened to us coastally, and it's not that lobster numbers actually went down, but what happened was when the shellfish virus went through that killed all the mussels off the reef.
Yep.
It changed the dynamic of push lobster out in deep water. So all of a sudden, hoop netters are doing very well. And the commercial trappers who would fish the deeper water did very well because lobsters didn't disappear. They just went to where there was more food.
Okay, so it's fully a feeding thing. So it's not
really
about
is.
what's actually getting taken out of the shallows.
No, they need the structure and stuff, and the shallows really provide that. And that's obviously where your retention's going to be. Your larval retention's always going to wind up being up in the shallows. Your younger bugs are going to wind up in there. The catch was that all that food that was normally there, a lot of it kind of dried up for a little bit. But it started to return. It's doing pretty good. Now you see lots of starfish. If you dive certain places where you used to see a lot of them, you see a lot of them again. You see shellfish on the reef where you didn't see it for several years. So that's just a cyclic, it's just one of those things. And it's not perfect. It's never perfect, but no, it's not bad. And the commercial counts haven't gone down. And the important key to that is because they're limited on the number of traps they use now, right?
Right.
It's like the guy only has 200 traps per permit. He can't run 1,000 anymore. He can't run 500. So you can't have a higher CPUE, catch per unit of effort. So if you and I were fishing and we both had 200 traps and there was no limit and the catches start to suck, I might go buy another 200 or 300 traps and run 500 traps. By running 500 traps, I bring my catch numbers back up to where I quote unquote used to be. It's a much higher CPUE, but the catch, the catch number would stay the same. And that's usually a good answer when a fishery is in decline. When the CPUE goes up, when they have to fish harder, they have to fish longer, and they have to go to greater extremes to make the same catch they had to, let's say 5 years prior, that tells you systematically, you see that catch rate of effort going up. That tells you there's a problem. There can be no increase in effort right now with what we got, how we're set up. 200 traps is 200 traps is 200 traps.
Okay, but let me ask you a question like that. Okay, so let's take some of our PV coastline, okay? You can go out there and work and really not get any big bugs. Not as much as you used to get like 5-6 years ago, but if you go into some undisclosed spots that don't get hit at all, you got tankers everywhere.
Sure, because lobster, their social dynamic is as such And you got to remember that when you get to big lobster, and that's above 6 pounds, 7 pounds, when you get above that, they start to get cannibalistic. And you got to remember, once you get above 5, 6 pounds, pretty much all males. There are no 15-pound female lobster out there. So everybody who would tell you, oh, the big lobsters, you need to leave them so they lay more eggs. Males don't lay eggs.
Yeah, that's actually a good one. I always want to know about that because I remember everybody says, oh, let the big ones go.
So, just because like in the men's room or in the women's room, there's something that looks like it was a guy last week, doesn't lay eggs. You know what I mean? So with lobsters, yeah, all the big ones are all males. So you don't have any of that freak show shit. It doesn't happen. And so your bugs are straight across. So once you get above about 7 pounds, you're going to find very, very few females. And over 10, I've seen personally 2 that were 10 plus that were females. And that's it. And I've known a lot of the big lobster aficionados, like Dave Plossel has like 1 that was like 10 and a half. I've seen 2, and that's out of all the multitudes of big bugs I've seen. So what happens, those big ones congregate together. If they don't get harassed, they'll stay stuck together. If they start to get harassed and get picked up, they tend to not leave that area. So you can change the dynamic permanently by taking them out because they don't breed and reproduce themselves. And because it takes about 20 years to get a real big lobster, to get an 8, 9, 10 pounder, at least 20 years old.
So it's like 20. Okay, that's what I thought. It was like 20 to 30 years to get about 8, 9 pounds. And then it's 40, 50 years, they're about 12, 14 pounds. Is that right?
Give or take, I mean, yeah, the dynamic, there's a big span in there, just like sheephead. You know what I mean? It's like certain sheephead are 25 pounds and they're only 15, 20 years old. And yet the 28 pounder, the very first big one that I got was 54 years old. 28 pounds at 54 years old. And yet I've taken a 22 pounder that was like 21 years old and it was 22 pounds. So there's a huge dynamic in there. Their bodies slow down like humans. They only gain so much physical size. There's just a bell curve, and certain ones are just going to be bigger, and certain ones are going to grow faster and be more aggressive. And so there's some of that. Lobster, not really any different. But yeah, any bug you're seeing that's 10, 12 pounds has definitely been around the block for 20 to 30 years. They've been there a while. So that's the problem is once you extract too many of those, that colony kind of that dynamic collapses because like if you dive a certain place, I'm not giving up my spots, to hell with that, but if I go to a place,
I'm not giving up my spots either then.
That's right. Damn it. So if I go, I did just go back to one of my places and I saw several 6 to 7s inside of a hole. I pulled one that's about 6.5 the other night.
Okay.
And I didn't see any of the 10s or 12s or anything like that. But what you don't see when you see like 7, 8, 9 pounders.
Oh, dude, you know what, man? We've got a call coming in. I forgot we were having a caller tonight. Hang on a second. You mind if we take the call? All right. Hello?
Hey, Eric. Hey, Eric. I'm not sure if you're going to remember me. My name's Lenny. I'm a lobster.
Wait, I broke one of your legs off last week.
Is this Lenny the lobster?
Yes, yeah. So, listen, before we start getting into it, I'm just gonna tell you, we got off on the wrong claw last time, did we? We got off on the wrong claw. You know what? I'm 135 now. Bygones are bygones. Everything's all right. I just wanted to call in and, just give you my, I don't know what an olive branch is, but whatever that is, I just wanted to give it to you.
Wait.
Say, hey, maybe we can be friends.
Well, don't you use olive oil and olive branches when you cook lobsters?
I'm saying, yeah, exactly.
You son of a bitch. Okay, you know what? I'm not gonna get mad. Sheila, I'm not getting mad. My wife is coaching me in the background. Listen. I've been listening to your program. Me and my wife are in our rock living room, and I got a proposition for both of you guys. You're both fishermen.
Okay.
Listen,
all right, let's hear it.
Listen, there's 2 new college students that just moved right next door, and between you and me, they look pretty good. They look pretty delicious. So if you guys are looking for lobsters, I got about 16 guys that live next door.
Wait, Lenny,
60 lobsters that live right at the rock right next door to me.
Hey, Lenny,
Yes,
how old are you, Lenny?
They look delicious, nice and red. Oh, yeah.
Wait, Lenny, how old are you?
135.
Well, how come
135,
you haven't eaten them
yeah,
yet?
You got it.
At your age, you're
You know,
supposed
as
to
you
eat.
know, lobsters can die naturally, but they can die. They can die when they're killed by a scuba diver. But you know what? No, you know what? Bygones are bygones. Right, Sheila?
Hey,
All
hey,
right.
Lenny, how come you're not eating those lobsters? You're 135 years old. At your age, you're supposed to be eating those lobsters.
Well, arthritis, but you know what?
That's right.
You know what?
Sharp. I like that.
We got
Yes.
60 lobsters
Strong.
next door.
Strong.
Waiting
Strong.
to get picked by you guys out of the ocean. What do you guys say, huh?
Oh, hey, Lenny, you know what, man? I think I saw you the other night.
You did? Wait, where?
Or was that you, Paul? Was that you that saw him?
No problem.
Hey, Lenny, are you missing an antenna, bro? Are you missing an antenna? I snapped one off a fat guy the other night. I'm pretty sure it was you because he squealed. He squealed and whined a whole bunch and bitched and moaned. Oh, yeah. How you doing, man?
Hey guys, you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna go. Oh, you guys can catch me. Why don't you guys come catch me? I'm gonna be over my college roommate's house or my neighbor's house. I mean, come on over. Come on over and get me.
Bro, you got a
I'm
long
a
way.
young guy with the Leatherman jacket on. Just come and get me. I'm gonna be wearing the Leatherman. I'm gonna have a Coors Light in my hand, and I'm gonna be hanging out with my other lobster buds.
Lenny, I got till March to catch their ass, bro. It's a long season. It just started, so you better not lay low for a few months, you know?
Oh, you trust me. You don't want me. I'm pretty old. I probably taste like slop.
Pressure cooker, buddy. Pressure cooker.
Yeah, well, I'll pressure cook you, all right? I'm gonna pressure cook you. All right?
Lenny, you better watch it out there, Lenny.
Yeah.
You guys, I got that.
Is that his tail?
I'd lay real low. I'd lay real low, bro.
Did you hear his tail? Did you...
And baby, I get lower. Oh, I get lower, all right? Not afraid of you guys.
All right, hey, Lenny, watch out for traps and watch out for us.
Wait a minute. Somebody took Sheila. Sheila! I gotta go. All right, I gotta go.
All right, Lenny, see you later. No.
Fantastic.
That's Lenny the Lobster. Lenny the Lobster
Nice.
likes to call him whenever we talk about lobsters.
Yeah.
He likes to, represent his lobster peeps. So
Yeah. So it really doesn't change too much. We've been blessed. Our lobsters don't get any diseases or anything. We've never had any kind of a viral or a fungal infection that's really screwed up our lobster. There's never been any infectious bloom or anything. So it just boils down to environmental and extraction. And we've got a pretty strong program. Our limits are set. Our lobster, they spend so much time as larvae out at sea, and the way larval dispersion works, Lenny's wife dumps her eggs off, and those things float for 350 days at sea.
That's crazy.
Before they settle to the reef. So they're almost a year. So they're out and about, and it takes about 7 years for a bug to come legal. And they'll take up in those intertidal shores, and they're just constantly getting replaced. It only takes one good breed from one of them, and you've got a couple of 100,000 eggs being showered. And because really it's a crapshoot, because obviously billions of lobster eggs get eaten out there by everything that eats phytoplankton. Other plankton eat them.
Yeah, it's rad when you take they take a little section of ocean and they
Jesus,
look at it
so much
under
weird
microscope.
stuff in that.
It
There's
seems like
just-
tens of thousands of different types of little tiny.
And all those little guys are
everythings
just
are all
killing and
larvas.
eating
Yeah.
each other ad nauseum. And so it's just that is dog eat dog out there
Yeah,
at the
totally.
highest order.
Totally.
You would not want to be anything small in the ocean, bro, because somebody else is always looking to size you up.
Oh yeah, that's the food chain at its best for
Yeah,
sure.
and so they do good. Certain areas are going to have ups and downs. Food sources, things like that, it'll change the dynamic, but they're healthy. I mean, there's nothing there to make you scared.
Okay.
And the catch rates are and have been fairly steady. So we don't see any real problems, so that's cool. So
Hey, will you do something with me real quick?
Yeah.
Okay, one of the things that we like to do on the show is we like to look at videos that we find online. You know, Mike on a Platter, our big thing is a lot of like all that weird, you know, alien and extraterrestrial
Yeah.
stuff. And, you know, I still have to pick your brain on some stuff.
Okay.
But we're already like, you know, 50 minutes deep into this. So I'm wondering if before we get to the end here, if you'll take a minute to look at some of these videos and tell we do our George and I do our little debunk thing, and unfortunately, like I said, George couldn't be here. He was,
Yeah.
so not
Fire away.
Okay, so got a few videos here, and I want your take on it, and you tell me what you think. We'll do a quick little debunk session. Let's look at video 1.
I believe that's an albino Haitian crossing the Texas border.
So I've been looking for that video for a long ass time because I saw it like 12 years ago, and I always wanted to show other people it because to me that looked seriously legit. It's some Brazilian dudes captured an alien, and they were filming it in their headlight, and it was some soldiers. It looks seriously real. What do you think?
I call bullshit because if I ever caught anything like that, the first thing I would do is kill the motherfucker so we got a dead body.
You know, it's so funny that you say that because we had Carlos Ramon Ruiz in here. He's the Fit Monster. He's out here at Long Beach.
Uh-huh.
And he told stories when he was in the Mexican military, and he told us a story about this encounter that they had when he was in the special ops and special forces, and they went out there, and that was everybody's that didn't get like all shocked and like, you know, incapacitated by this thing. He was one of the only ones, and one of his first reactions was, I gotta fucking kill this thing. Threw a knife at it, but it missed him and all that stuff. But that's so funny that you say that.
No, that's why Bigfoot doesn't exist, because ain't nobody seeing Bigfoot's not putting a 30-06 round through his ass.
Hey, makes sense to me.
Plain and simple, bro. It's like, you want fish stories? You know the difference between a guy catches big lobster and a guy that tells you about catching big lobster? I have big lobster on my wall.
Oh, there you go.
That's it.
Yeah,
okay?
no, that hey, fair enough. I'm gonna call that legit. You're gonna call it illegit.
Yeah. That's Joe Biden.
Okay.
That's yeah.
Let's look at the next one. Oh, hold on. There it is. Okay. So this is supposedly
This one looks like a baby chicken.
something that was captured and put in a cell, and there wasn't really any good audio on this. It was just kind of, so this thing's hunched over. Now again, this video is probably about 10 or 12 years old. I remember seeing it a long time ago.
The level of confusion and the body shape, that looks like a Marine on the wrestling team. That's like Semper Fi, you know, just like really, really confused and not understanding why he's there. It'll probably start doing push-ups pretty soon. Just waiting for Gunny to come back and chastise him.
This one, I was trying to figure out, okay, so he's walking kind of funny. It's like, is that really how they walk? You know, are they...
Why do they always make these things have like scoliosis and shit? Have you ever seen our astronauts? Let me just put this to you. You and I are fucking 35, 40 pounds overweight to be an astronaut. We're fat.
I know, right?
Okay? So I'm telling you that everybody who has a Space Force doesn't send no fat fucks, no cripples into space, bro.
Right? No, they have to be top athletes.
Goddamn right.
Right?
Okay? That's right.
Yeah, this guy's not walking all
like,
top athletes.
You've seen our like human health services like admiral for the United States, that thing that looks like, you know, the fucking squid guy that
bowl of jelly.
You know, yeah, you know, he looks like the Penguin from Batman, right? Like he, she, it, whatever the fuck he is, right? Okay, he'll never be an astronaut.
No.
Not
going into space.
No, exactly. So I'm not sending my worst half a universe away, bro. I'm going to send my absolute sharpest and best.
Okay. Well, let's take a look at this one. Here's another one I found.
Yeah, they ate that mushroom, and that's what they saw after they ate that mushroom. That's what happened right there, bro. They're like, hey, everything's cool. Look, I dug up this earthworm. Ah! And away they go. So,
Oh my God! Well, thanks for entertaining those videos.
Oh, no problem.
I'm gonna say the first one seemed real to me. The second one, and the third one was obviously a spoof. But
Yeah.
I think the first one was real. I think the first one that was actually something.
There's definitely some weirdnesses out there. The pyramids did not just build themselves without any help.
Right.
I'm just saying. Not to mention that, remember that the pyramids in Egypt and the pyramids in Mexico, they're all based on the same thing. They all point kind of the same directions. And the dimensions with how square they are fall within the same
parameters.
Same parameters. So, and I'm just saying that it would have taken a guild of people. If you really think about this.
I know. When you dig all that apart, I'll tell you what, we're gonna have you on next time for that one.
It would take a guild of people, 30 to 50 years of knowledge and school and training and all that stuff to really build the entire knowledge base, to get it all together and get all the pieces worked out. And so you're telling me that then they had a guild that was like that. That's like a university, okay?
Yeah, right.
Right, an ancient university. And the thing is that people would have had to travel across the ocean, and that's very far. South America to Egypt, very, very, very far. Not easy. Not saying it can't be done. I'm saying not easy. So they've got to go back and forth 4,000 years ago. 4,000 years ago. And then when they get there, they've got to set up shop and build the whole thing, and they've got to train all those people. And so you build these colleges, and none of it exists still. None of it.
Yeah.
I have a hard time with that.
Something is fishy.
Saying I have a hard time. But I do understand that just like modern education, modern public schools, in our society, they're trying to erase everything. Actually, if you look at it,
they're completely
trying to
canceling
erase
all culture. They're canceling memories. They're
Right.
canceling history.
and so
everything.
and so you
It's
got to
crazy.
you got to ask yourself, is that what happened? Because the more and more you look at modern academia and you see how bad schools are, and you see how crazy Portland, Seattle, these places, and all this writing and shit from them is all based around their colleges and the college students, right? Comes a point where are they learning it? They're learning it at the universities. So I often ask myself, when you look at, they burned the Library of Alexandria, they got rid of, the same thing, the universities in Rome, right? Ancient Rome and Greece, the same thing. Does academia get to a point that it's so far twisted that eventually you just got to get rid of it and start over? It's a serious question. Does it get to the point it's so shitty, so maligned, so, just so far gone, and it basically, starts to invoke social destruction that eventually they just get rid of it? They just go, okay, it's time to just, and...
I have a different theory on why that is, and that actually is going to take us to the end of the show, which is our psych dish. So I want to take you to psych dish land. To me, it's about one thing. It's about money. It's all about money. Wouldn't you agree? It's all about money.
But to a point. But when control. No, power and control.
Power, control.
Not money, but power and control.
Acquisition of wealth and how you get that power and control.
Resources. Again.
Here, check this out.
Resource control.
Meditate on this for about 10, 15 seconds.
Right. Well, the best thing about that, who's completely protected, right? Who's protected when it's all said and done? Pfizer.
Oh, yeah.
Not you, fucker. Pfizer. Okay. So, okay. And I was telling Eric I was going to do this, and I got some Mexico stuff that we have to squeeze in here.
Well, let's get out of here first.
Okay.
Hope you thought about that.
Yeah, so we got to go to our Mexico minute then, I guess. So we just went down. They canceled the PCCs on us because of rough weather, and it's a heartbreaker. But everybody decided we don't want to take a thrashing and get anybody hurt, and so blew it off. We decided to go to Mexico instead, and so we went down there. So I will give you guys a hint: when you go through customs, you got the customs agent walking, the border patrol guy walking the dog around you, and then that nice. What's the word they use? Lesbian? Border patrol agent, you know, the customs. And they ask you, have you anything to declare? When you tell her, let's go, Brandon.
Ho, ho, ho! Dun-dun.
Oh, bro. The guy walking the dog starts laughing. The guy in back of her starts laughing. She just looks at me and makes a face. And it's time to search the truck after that.
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah.
But it was well worth it. So you guys can try that. That worked out very well. And I don't know if Eric can dig up the picture or if he wants to show it.
Hey, you know what? Why don't you just pull it up, and I'll put it in front of one of the cams, okay?
Okay, so which one do we want? Do you want the salt shakers?
Okay, there's a new trend in Mexico, okay?
And Paul, I don't know
Paul
what
has enlightened me to this new trend. Why don't you put it up in your camera
I don't know what the hell it is,
okay,
guys.
put that up there.
But it is...
Okay, those are penis.
The year of the
salt
penis,
and
bro.
pepper shakers, okay?
Yes. Now, I'm going to hell because if you knew the pranks that I play on my family, you'd understand this. But my mom is getting those for Christmas, guys.
With her name engraved
With her
on
name
it.
engraved on them. And so, like, it was absolutely nuts because I thought I'd seen everything. I've been around Mexico for a long time, right? And I thought I'd seen everything. And what I'm here to tell you is I had not seen everything because I thought I'd seen everything. And then when we're crossing the border...
Hang on. Look at this guy. This dude's...
There you go. This guy's walking around selling trinkets, and the guy's walking around with a 30-inch long, I don't know, plastic, rubber, whatever, gigantic penis. And we could not, and I mean could not, quit laughing. We were howling, so it was like...
I don't know what's up with Mexico and the
I
penis
don't know,
thing
man.
right now.
Absolutely floored. We were rolling. It was the funniest shit you've ever seen.
Oh, my God.
So...
Well, you guys, hey, I want to say thank you for tuning in. Paul, thanks again for coming in and chatting as always. It's always
good time.
Awesome to have you here, dude, and just go through the shit. And I'm sorry George couldn't be here because he was...
Let's hope he's okay.
Yeah, let's hope he's okay. He's not
right,
having a Bell palsy episode. He's too young for that shit. I don't know what the hell's going on there.
I don't know, man.
But hey, listen, if you like the show, please subscribe. You know, keep us going. Throw a little like on there. Tell your friends about it. We cover a wide variety of stuff, and we always give it to you as real as we think it is. Who knows what's real? Who knows what's not real? But we certainly want to talk about it and keep it coming. Paul, thanks for keeping it real, and you guys, thanks for tuning in tonight. And Paul, next time you come in, Paul, let's get into some of your deeper theories, like with the pyramids. I keep threatening to pull that out of you, but there's so many other, like right here, right now things I keep wanting to bring in, and you bring it, and I appreciate it, dude.
Well, there's more. It's a bottomless pit, unfortunately.
Well, it just means you're going to have to come back in again.
It works for me.
All right, brother.
Right
Thanks,
on.
bro. You guys, thanks. Like and subscribe. Thank you.
Have a good night, guys.